Good morning, friends. Ash here, WAT News, with some news and election updates. It's January the 29th, 2021. And if you saw my post yesterday about my video about the Election Assistance Commission, this broke late last night in response to the Gateway Pundit's article previously about the EAC and Jessica Bowers. We caught them. Arizona's Maricopa County Board of Supervisors lied. EAC updated website after Gateway Pundit report discovered their auditors were uncertified. Coming out of Gateway Pundit, Joe Hoft, January 28th. Let's face it, if you're willing to steal a U.S. presidential election, then you will do anything. Today's actions by the EAC will shock you. This morning we reported that the two auditors selected in Arizona by the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to perform an audit of its 2020 election results had some notable issues. The Maricopa Board of Supervisors limited their choices to two companies, ProV&V and SLI Compliance. ProV&V was also selected by Georgia's corrupt Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger for a recent sham audit there. Secretary of State Raffensperger used Dominion-linked ProV&V, an Alabama-based testing laboratory, to do the Georgia audit of the Dominion machines. We know that ProV&V has only 3 company contacts and has been in business since 2011. The president of ProV&V is Jack Cobb. Cobb has been called in to perform audits for Dominion in the past. He performed one audit in the Philippines in 2019, but he referred to himself as the laboratory director during this engagement. ProV&V once had a certificate of accreditation from the U.S. EAC, but it expired in 2017. No recent accreditation was noted on its website. SLI Compliance also provides little support for its election certifications on its site. It has a website and a page dedicated to voting system certification testing. SLI Compliance on its website claims it was accredited by the US EAC, but this morning we could find no support for this or if this was current. However, we did see that both entities were used by Dominion Voting Systems for their recent audits. It's the other article. We followed this report and asked, how can the EAC, the government body that oversees elections, remain independent when their CIO worked for Dominion Voting Systems for a decade? So there's that other article. Our first article must have hit a nerve because the EAC did something today that's quite shocking. We argued in our first article that the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors claimed they picked ProV&V and SLI Compliance because these two auditors were certified by the EAC. They chose these entities in spite of the offer by election ballot expert Jovan Pulitzer, who has a method to review every single ballot in the country to determine the true and accurate validity of the votes. Pulitzer explained the various obstacles the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors have created to prevent a solid audit in the county. So let's go. I have the Pulitzer vid. Let's check it out.
Okay, guys, let me tell you how this battle for ballots comes down in the state of Arizona. And so Arizona knows that the only way to do this is with total transparency in Maricopa County. Now, this is a process where they have tried their damnedest to not comply with the subpoena, even going to, well, we'll let you inspect 2 machines. They pick the machines. We'll give over a few digital ballots. They pick the ballots. We'll let you look at some mail-ins. They pick a few of them. So it's all just a totally upside-down system. And so they're pushing very hard to have it be their auditors which audit it, which you can't work. That just won't work at all. We'd have total, absolute transparency. And you got about 2.2 million ballots that really need to be done and tested from top to bottom, because this must be solved once and for all. So now here's the latest battle. The latest battle is even when you have a state and a legislature that has a surplus budget, the manpower on this takes time, people, you got to do it, machines, the whole bit. Get on the ground, you got to scan them all in, make it all happen. They don't even necessarily want to have a budget or do it. So one of the ways they can kind of disqualify this is say, well, that's too expensive and we don't want to do that. And so we must use our auditors. This is what you have to scream about, because now they're going to bitch about the manpower cost getting on the ground, basically hand feeding and scanning in 2.2 million ballots getting this done. Do not let them get away with this. The states can do this. They have the budgets for it. It's already for it. These must be inspected top to bottom. These holes must be plugged. You've got to let Arizona know. You've got to do this the right way. You cannot cut corners. We must get answers. Go to it. Thanks.
So there's Pulitzer's take. I agree with him. I think they should allow him to use his method. I think it's probably the best way. It's the fastest way. And I think that these guys in Maricopa County are in deep trouble because they know that maybe some of these votes aren't proper that are in their systems, right? How many of the votes are in the system in Maricopa were not real or were not correct ballots, right, inserted into the system? Here's ProVNV's website. They founded in 1911. Background, they were founded in 1911. Laboratory accreditation on April the 2nd, 2012. On February the 24th, 2015, ProVNV achieved accreditation by EAC for the EAC Voting System Test Lab. Accreditation set forth in the EAC Voting System Testing and Certification Program and Laboratory Accreditation Program. All senior ProVNV employees maintain internationally recognized software testing certification. Well, this is February the 2015. But doesn't that have to be renewed on a yearly basis or something, I think? So we don't know if they're actually accredited or they're actually updated right now. It doesn't say 2021 or even 2020 here, so it doesn't appear that they are up to date on their qualification. We'll have to see how that all plays out in the end, right? Were they actually accredited? And if not, then why were they used to to do the Georgia hand count and all that, right? Was that proper then if they didn't have the proper accreditations? And if they didn't have the proper accreditations during the election, that's a problem, right? So Joe Biden reads from note card, mumbles and coughs as he prepares to sign executive orders. Kevin McCarthy meets with Trump a week after throwing him under the bus and blaming him for U.S. Capitol riots. Biden's slimy grifter brother Frank Biden touts relationship with president and new ad for his law firm, Berman Law Group. D.C. officials announced plans to erect permanent security fence around U.S. Capitol. And same week, Democrats ended construction of border security fence. So now it's permanent, apparently. This is how it's going to be. It's going to be locked in. Not sure how this Proud Boys thing is. Proud Boys chairman Enrique Tarrio speaks out, describes informant's story where he helped stop human trafficking. Not sure how this story is going to play out. The other thing I wanted to cover is apparently, and maybe Monkeyworks could help us with this if he finds this article out of ITN News. Mike Dakak again, my main man Mike Dakak. Italian military plane landed at Andrews Air Force Base on January the 11th, partially confirming intelligence received by Italy Gate investigator Maria Zack. Aircraft number IAM 1433 is over latitude 38.83 and longitude negative 76.87, flying at altitude 121.92 feet. Washington, D.C. See what this pic is. Here's his tweet. In the sky, D.C. aircraft. I guess I should use the Indio Adam Mike 1433 is over latitude 38.83 and longitude negative 76.87, flying at altitude 121.92 feet. So I guess this is the plane. Now the question is this a military plane from Italy? And is it carrying arturod'elia, right? Could that be who's in that plane? Which is the witness that Maria Zack was talking about, who from Leonardo, right? Who is allegedly the person involved or one of the people involved in the Leonardo hack that used the military satellites to change the votes and then send them back to the United States, right? That's the allegation. Flight records show an Italian military plane landed at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland on January the 11th, partially confirming intelligence received by Maria Zack of Nations in Action regarding the whereabouts of Italygate whistleblower Arturod'elia. Zack and NIA have been investigating allegations of interference in the U.S. election since mid-November. They allege Delia came forward with information confirming votes in the presidential election were switched from President Trump to Joe Biden electronically using military-grade satellites owned and operated by Italian defense contractor Leonardo Spa. Delia, a former employee of Leonardo, says he is in possession of actual vote data from Election Day that shows President Trump won by huge margins, according to Zack. Zack says the latest intelligence provided to NIA by individuals in Italy working to bring the evidence to light says D'Elia may have been transported to the U.S. Let's listen to this quick clip from Maria Zack.
Okay, Maria, on the original affidavit that you broke on my show and that we've been talking about, I'm sorry, that just for the guy's first name is Arturo, is that right? Of the app, okay.
I can't go full screen,
okay.
sorry.
So the gentleman who's acknowledging, the Leonardo employee who's acknowledging he flipped the data, where is he physically right now?
Great question. We put out an article immediately when this happened. We were trying to let everyone in Italy know and everyone here in America know. And as soon as we put out the article, Italy, the government, Conte and Renzi, way overreacted, as did Leonardo. And Leonardo, everybody was firing their top heads of cybersecurity and telecom. Oh my gosh, we have to button down crisis management plan in place. And they had Arturo arrested. And so here he gets placed in jail for a supposed crime of hacking from years ago. And so they make up trumped up charges. This judge, the prosecutor in Italy, they're all like, what the heck is going on? But the prosecutor went along with it. He's got some explaining. And the judge, he was like, this doesn't seem right. And why are we throwing the book at this guy and putting him in jail? So they moved him several times, and we had received word that MI6's Alexander Nix, who was Cambridge Analytica, that everybody may remember from the 2016 election scandals and mess with Facebook, that he was actually in the president of Leonardo's office and drove down to Naples to meet with the prosecutor and was trying to get to Arturo. So the role of Nix and MI6 has to be immediately investigated because it's very problematic, another foreign government that appears to be involved in this. And so they started moving Arturo from jail to jail several times. What our latest intel shows is that he was potentially moved here to the United States. And in that, we are very curious to know because Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, flew to Italy, and it was publicly mentioned that he was in Italy, and we had confirmation from our folks in Italy that he was in Rome. And suddenly he returns, and magically a plane from Italy that is Italian military lands at Joint Base Andrews. So it is our suspicion, now that Arturo was moved again, that he most likely was on that plane that landed at Andrews.
Okay, so back, just to be really clear, Arturo is the Leonardo employee who's acknowledged he did this. Okay, so if Arturo's here, I mean, and I know this is speculation, but you also have amazing context. So if Arturo's here, we don't know in whose custody he is or in whose protection, right? We don't really know why wouldn't he. The only reason to bring him here is to try to dig in and ask him to tell his story.
America deserves to know, and whoever in government has him needs to come clean. America deserves full understanding of what took place. Arturo holds the key physically of what he used to code in, to access the codes in and deploy the software. And that's what he holds in his head. He had paperwork and he had the data encrypted key. So if they got him to come and tell the truth, or if he's being threatened, either answer we need to know.
So that's super interesting, guys, because now we have Nix, Alexander Nix, who we know met, or it's alleged met, with the head of Leonardo, sniffing around in Italy trying to find the location of Delia, right? And they're hiding Delia, moving him from prison to prison because, yeah, people are probably trying to kill this guy. Or at least get to him. That's my guess. Now the question is, did this plane land? Can we confirm that this plane landed on January the 11th in Andrews? And I don't know how to do that, of course. I'm not MonkeyWorks. That's my main man MonkeyWorks' job. And hopefully he can maybe do something about this in one of his shows and check this article. I'll put it in the links. Super, super interesting turn of events, right? Now, we'll have to see how everything pans out, but was Delia finally moved to the United States for his own safety? Because it couldn't be guaranteed in a country like Italy right now where there's all kinds of, Drangheta and different very powerful mafia groups that are also on trial right now. You have 300 organized crime groups on trial right now in Italy as well. So there's a lot going on in Italy, and maybe they moved Delia here for his own safety and to, get his testimony on the record before something bad maybe happened to him over there. We don't know that yet. Maybe MonkeyWorks or someone else we can get some confirmation if that flight did land in to Andrews. I'm sure it'll be on some record. It has to be. There's manifests of all the planes that come in and out. So we'll keep eyes there. This was in the Sky DCs. I'll include that in the links. So I wanted to get back for a second to what's been going down with the stock market, right? You saw that GameStop, which is right here, blew up yesterday, and it's blowing up again right at the open. It actually went down to, it closed it, if you see it, 193. It opened at 265. Okay, so anybody that bought this, now what happened is these kids and a bunch of people just started buying a stock, right? Because, hey, you can do that, right? I got an investment club. People have been doing that for years. What the rich people do, usually in the hedge funds, is they short all these stocks, right? And they drive them down into the dirt and they destroy them. And that's what's been going on also with the gold and silver markets for years, where people, and as you can see, the silver market is blowing up as well, because I think these people are starting to invest in the mining stocks, and I can't confirm it, but let's just get an update where we are. This isn't up to the second, but you can see it went down a bit, but still $1.48 for silver to go up in a day is huge. You don't see that very often. It's rare. Silver will go up 20 cents, 10 cents, 50 cents, but $1.50, $1.78, I saw it at earlier, that's unusual. And what these guys do is, these institutional investors, is they drive these things down. They keep silver down, they keep gold down, they keep all these things in the dirt. And it's illegal almost what they do, in a sense, because they're hurting the regular investor. And I was watching, I wanted to take you back to this 60 minutes clip. All right, it's about 15 minutes. I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing. What it's talking about, and by the way, this came out in November 2011, and it's talking about, does Congress and the Senate can they trade on insider information? Now, this has been done for a long time. Obviously, if you look at some people like Pelosi's stock account, it's huge, right? She's a big player in the stock market. And the question has always been, are these people allowed to trade on information that they get from insider sources or from people that say give them money, right? Like with Visa and Pelosi, you can look into, right? She invested in an IPO for Visa years ago. There's all kinds of stock trades these people do, and they have to they have to list what their stocks are on the congressional sites and stuff. They have to be listed. So in other words, people can look up what stocks you're in and say, hey, you know what? Oh, I see that what's his name is, shorting this stock. Well, what if we start buying that stock? What if we can get enough people to start buying that stock? I can drive that price of that stock up, and I could ruin you if you're shorting it, right? I could ruin you. So it's like a reverse kind of, it's a reverse of what these people usually are doing, right? But now the little guys figured out how to hurt you. Now, years ago, they used to call this pump and dump, right? When I was in the market years ago, like in the 90s when everything was blowing up back then, there was times in the 90s market you could literally just buy some stock you never heard of, and all of a sudden that thing doubled up, and that's what you're seeing happen now, right? GameStop was like a $6 stock like 2 months ago or whatever, right? Now it's like $350 stock. How'd that happen, right? Now I'm keeping my eyes on some of these smaller ones too, like BlackBerry. I don't invest in the market, and I'm not giving you advice on how to. I'm just keeping an eye on the stocks that I think are in play here and that some people are maybe getting into. AMC's another one, right? That was at $8 yesterday, closed at $8. It's at $13. So, that's not normal. Usually you buy a stock, it might go up a little bit, but these things are jumping right at the open, right? So what's going on here, right? We don't know yet. But it looks like the common man is giving you a taste of your own medicine to the big time players, right? And it's beautiful to see in a way, because usually these people are doing the opposite, right? And GameStop's being called a pump and dump scheme. Here's what you need to know. So these people are freaking out because how do they explain it, right? How do they explain that the system that they're playing in is fake and manipulated, and it always has been? And that's why I got out of the stock market years ago, because I realized it's a manipulated game. And you can make a lot of money if you can figure out how it works, right? So let's watch this 60 minutes clip. We'll just get into it for a second. I thought it was very interesting, and maybe we won't watch the whole thing, maybe we will, but let's just get into it, right? Because this is where we are right now, exposing the corrupt financial system and all of its dealings. So this is from 2011.
Year away. Congressmen and senators are expending much of their time and their energy raising the millions of dollars in campaign funds they'll need just to hold on to a job that pays $174,000 a year. Few of them are doing it for the salary, and all of them will say they're doing it to serve the public. But there are other benefits: power, prestige, and the opportunity to become a Washington insider with access to information and connections that no one else has, in an environment of privilege where rules that govern the rest of the country don't always apply to them. Most former congressmen and senators manage to leave Washington, if they ever leave Washington, with more money in their pockets than they had when they arrived. And as you are about to see, the biggest challenge is often avoiding temptation.
This is a venture opportunity. This is an opportunity to leverage your position in public service and use that position to enrich yourself, your friends, and your family.
Peter Schweizer is a fellow at the Hoover Institution, a conservative think tank at Stanford University. A year ago, he began working on a book about soft corruption in Washington with a team of 8 student researchers who reviewed financial disclosure records. The results became a jumping-off point for our own story, and we have independently verified the material we've used. Schweizer says he wanted to know why some congressmen and senators managed to accumulate significant wealth beyond their salaries and proved particularly adept at buying and selling stocks.
There are all sorts of forms of honest graft that congressmen engage in that allow them to become very, very wealthy. So it's not illegal, but I think it's highly unethical. I think it's highly offensive and wrong.
What do you mean honest graft?
For example, insider trading on the stock market. If you are a member of Congress, those laws are deemed not to apply.
So congressmen get a pass on insider trading?
They do. The fact is, if you sit on a healthcare committee and you know that Medicare, for example, is considering not reimbursing for a certain drug, that's market-moving information. And if you can trade stock off of that information and do so legally, that's a great profit-making opportunity, and that sort of behavior goes on.
Why does Congress get a pass on this?
It's really the way the rules have been defined, and the people who make the rules are the political class in Washington, and they've conveniently written them in such a way that they don't apply to themselves.
The buying and selling of stock by corporate insiders who have access to non-public information that could affect the stock price can be a criminal offense. Just ask hedge fund manager Roger Ratnam, who recently got 11 years in prison for doing it. But congressional lawmakers have no corporate responsibilities and have long been considered exempt from insider trading laws, even though they have daily access to non-public information and plenty of opportunities to trade on it.
We know that during the healthcare debate, people were trading healthcare stocks. We know that during the financial crisis of 2008, they were getting out of the market before the rest of America really knew what was going on.
In mid-September 2008, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average still above 10,000, Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson and Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke were holding closed-door briefings with congressional leaders and privately warning them that a global financial meltdown could occur within a few days. One of those attending was Alabama Representative Spencer Backus, then the ranking Republican member on the House Financial Services Committee, and now its chairman.
These meetings were so sensitive that they would actually confiscate cell phones and BlackBerries going into those meetings. What we know is that those meetings were held one day, and literally the next day, Congressman Backus would engage in buying stock options based on apocalyptic briefings that he had had the day before from the Fed chairman and the Treasury Secretary. I mean, talk about a stock tip.
While Congressman Backus was publicly trying to keep the economy from cratering, he was privately betting that it would, buying option funds that would go up in value if the market went down. He would make a variety of trades and profit at a time when most Americans were losing their shirts. Congressman Backus declined to talk to us, so we went to his office and ran into his press secretary, Tim Johnson.
We're not alleging that Congressman Backus has violated any laws.
Okay.
The only thing we're interested in talking to him is about his, about his trades.
Okay, that's a fair enough request.
What we got was a statement from Congressman Backus's office that he never trades on non-public information or financial services stock. However, his financial disclosure form seemed to indicate otherwise. Backus made money trading General Electric stock during the crisis, and a third of GE's business is in financial services. During the healthcare debate of 2009, members of Congress were trading healthcare stocks, including House Minority Leader John Boehner, who led the opposition against the so-called public option, government-funded insurance that would compete with private companies. Just days before the provision was finally killed off, Boehner bought health insurance stocks, all of which went up. Now Speaker of the House, Congressman Boehner also declined to be interviewed, so we tracked him down at his weekly press conference.
Speaker Boehner, you made a number of trades going back to the healthcare debate. You bought some insurance stock. Did you make those trades based on non-public information?
I have not made any decisions on day-to-day trading activities in my account, and haven't for years. I do not do it, haven't done it, I wouldn't do it.
Later, Boehner's spokesman told us that the healthcare trades were made by the Speaker's financial advisor, who he only consults with about once a year.
We need to find out whether they're part of a blind trust or not.
Peter Schweitzer thinks the timing is suspicious and believes congressional leaders should have their stock funds in blind trusts.
Whether it's $15,000 or $150,000, the principle in my mind is that it's simply wrong and it shouldn't take place.
But there is a long history of self-dealing in Washington, and it doesn't always involve stock trades.
The story will continue after this.
Congressmen and senators also seem to have a special knack for land and real estate deals. When Illinois Congressman Dennis Hastert became Speaker of the House in 1999, he was worth a few $100,000. He left the job 8 years later, a multimillionaire.
The road that Hastert wants to build will go through these farm fields right here.
In 2005, Speaker Hastert got a $207 million federal earmark to build the Prairie Parkway through these cornfields near his home. What Jan Strasma and his neighbors didn't know was that Hastert had also bought some land adjacent to where the highway is supposed to go.
5 months after this earmark went through, he sold that land and made a bundle of money.
How much?
$2 million.
What do you think of it?
It stinks.
We stopped by the former Speaker's farm.
So I'm going to stop it here, guys. I think that's a good place to stop because we've seen these kinds of things go on for a very long time, right? If you remember when the railroads were created, and sorry if you're getting this background noise, we got a little construction here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm living in a perpetual construction zone and helicopter zone and all kinds of noise zones. So that's just my lot in life. But so anyway, we've seen this go on for years, where Congress and senators get extremely rich, presidents like Obama come in office worth almost nothing, and they leave with millions of dollars from supposed book deals that sell huge amounts, right? And a lot of people have intimated that maybe those books don't sell as well as they're saying. They're just payoffs for deeds that were done for your friends, right? And if you remember 2008, it was the biggest transfer of wealth from Main Street to Wall Street in the history of mankind. The greatest transfer of wealth, period, in mankind, probably. One of them, anyway. So that's what I think is going on, you know. It's the man. It's the man coming back and showing the system that you can't keep us down forever, right? Because look at GameStop. It's at 355, up 161. It's up 83%, man. So are these just regular investors doing this? No, I don't think so. They're part of it, sure. But you need bigger money to do what these people are doing. You need large cash. You need large amounts of people in cash going into a stock to do this. And I don't know if it's legal or illegal. I mean, if you're just buying a stock to buy a stock, then it's not, right? But what if 50,000 people get together and decide we're going to form a massive stock buying group, and we're going to start focusing on certain stocks that we know certain people are shorting to destroy those stocks? You know, that's interesting to me. That's something you don't see every day. What else did I want to cover, guys? Right, honest graft. That's what we're talking about, right? Which is an anachronism. It doesn't really make any sense, does it? How can it be graft and be honest, right? Graft is not honest. Well, that's them trying to make it honest. So this is from Congressional Institute to Sausage Factory. Can members of Congress engage in insider trading? Members of Congress come across a lot of info in the course of their official duties. Can they use insider info to make a quick buck by buying and selling stock at opportune times? The answer to this question is a resounding and unequivocal no. Statutory law forbids it, and even if it did, Congress has always had the constitutional power to discipline its members. But they rarely do, right? So this is where I got the 60 Minutes thing from, to check into. In mid-November 2011, CBS 60 Minutes ran a story alleging that members of Congress were using insider info to benefit on stock trades. The story provoked a furor among the public, leading to the enactment of the Stock Act, which President Obama signed into law April 4th, 2012. The act had several effects, but the most notable was that it explicitly stated that members and congressional employees are not exempt from the insider trading prohibitions arising under the securities laws, 4A. Additionally, it amended the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 to specify each member or employee, quote, owes a duty when in receipt of material non-public information obtained as a result of their public office. A duty to what, right? A duty not to act on that information? It's really simple to just make it a law that you can't purchase any kind of stock instruments or any kind of investments while you're in office, that's all. And you can't act to a secondary either. Because that's the other thing. What if I give a guy $1 million on the side and I say, hey, just buy what I tell you to buy and I'll take care of you on the side, right? You don't think people do that every day? Sure they do. That's how I can have an account where it's not in my name and I'm making money, right? And then you slide me the money in some other way. Maybe you buy an art painting and you give it to me. Maybe you buy a bag of diamonds, right? All kinds of stuff you could do. And that's what these people been doing for a long time. It's a rigged system. They drive the stocks down and up, and they share information with their friends, and they all get rich, and you get screwed. The regular investor who's just trying to get in GameStop, right, who likes the stock and wants to buy it and own it and hold it, you get screwed. Because there's a hedge fund on the other end that's shorting that thing, and you never had a chance, but you didn't know it. That's how you can have silver stay at $13, $14 an ounce. I mean, how can that be, right? That's how you can have gold stay down so low for so long, because there's people on the other end shorting it down. So I won't go too long, guys. I just wanted to cover this article real quick that the EAC, basically what they did was they put up a notice on their website saying, yeah, these companies they're all been certified and everything's fine. But that letter was just updated like on the 27th of January. So I think the result of this was when they went to look for the certification for Pro V&V and SLI compliance, it wasn't there. They weren't up to date. So now they have to come up with their actual certificates that proved that they were previously given the compliance and given these actual things by the EAC, because according to their websites it wasn't there. And that's what Gateway Pundit found. So if it wasn't there, then everything that you did in the election should be null and void if these machines were actually supposed to be okayed by these two companies, because these two companies, according to their own websites, don't have the compliance certificates in order, according to what Gateway Pundit found. So we'll see if they can come forward, these two companies, with those actual certification, proof of those certifications for the times that are in question, and if not, then they have a problem. So we'll have to see how that plays out, right? Honest graft, that's what you're seeing exposed, right, with all these stock things right now. That the system itself is and always has been skewed, right? You know, when the market first came out, by the way, there was no laws about insider trading. You could insider trade, and there was unlimited margins at one time. So you could basically go all the way out on the limb on margin, which is like they're loaning you more money to buy stock. And hey, you could have a massive margin, you know, you could be making huge money, or you can incur massive losses too. So, you know, the market itself, if you look back at its history, isn't exactly a fair game. So anyway, friends, hope you're well. Maybe you're riding the stock train. Keep an eye on those stocks if you are. And I'm not giving any advice. I don't personally invest in stock. So with that, my friends, I wish you well. I wish you wealth and success. And I wish you health. With that, friends, this is Ash signing off for right now.